Chapter 1. Day 1, 6:30 p.m. I opened my eyes, and confusion hit me like a pickup truck. I know it's a stereotypical way to begin a story, but it's exactly where this experience began, so it's how I will begin recounting it. My nose was buried in dirt. It smelled stale, and it was clear that rain hadn't been around for a long time. While nothing else was clear to me in that moment, for some reason I knew that my hometown rarely got rain. However, the sight that was presented to me when I raised my head was anything but familiar to me. I was laying down in the middle of a burnt-out forest. The trees stood as ghosts of the trees that they had once been. Some were taller than others, but none were green as far as my eyes could see into the distance. What a place, I thought to myself. This is going to be fun. It was then that I realized that I was sweating. I looked around to see if I could spot the location of the sun in the sky, and, sure enough, after several seconds, I found it low in the west. However, that did little to assure me that this was going to be a comfortable vacation. The temperature had to be at least 90 degrees, and the humidity was sweltering. I felt like I was sitting in a bowl of honey, except, instead of smelling sweet, it smelled like dirt. I was confused. I couldn't remember anything, even my name, except that I was sure I didn't live here. However, I really didn't remember where I lived, so I decided to stand to my feet and explore the place in which I found myself. As I stood to my feet, I saw a lone mountain, which rose conically from its base to a flat peak in the distance. Sweet, I thought to myself. I can figure out exactly where I am from the top of that mountain. I set out west, toward the mountain. Is there any danger here? The scared portion of my psyche questioned. I didn't want to think about that possibility. I remembered always being told by my parents, safety first. And sure, this would have been a good time to employ it, but I didn't care about the advice my parents had given me. It doesn't make life any easier. You don't know what or who else is here, the scared part reminded me. It was true, and maybe I was a little worried. Who isn't a little scared at some point? I would be fine. I was sure of it. If there are lions or tigers here, as long as I don't bother them, they will leave me alone. Same with snakes. I continued walking, working on keeping those thoughts suppressed. Think positive, I told myself. That was my life motto, and even if it wasn't before, it certainly would be now. The palm tree cemetery had given way to a stretch of long grass. However, the long grass wasn't standing up. It was dead, scattered across the ground. Rocks of varying sizes dotted the landscape, as if hurled by an angry giant in a fairy tale. Some were as large as a person, some were smaller than a quarter. There were no trees, not even burnt-out husks in my current position, and I was sweating like a dog. The ghostly forest resumed 100 yards ahead, but I felt as if I'd never reach it, and even if I did reach it, I knew that their dried-out trunks and fronds would not provide shade. 10 minutes later, I was in the forest. As I walked, I observed the appearance of the trees more closely. I touched one, and soot came off on my fingers. I walked from tree to tree in the sweltering heat, observing their appearance, trying to determine where I was. All of the trees I inspected were burned. Some were worse than others, but they all showed signs of being burned. It seems to have been a tropical paradise at one point in time, I reasoned. My eyes glanced toward the mountain standing in the distance, and I had to look away, because the sun was right next to it, incredibly bright in the evening sky. It reminded me of yet another personal fact. I prefer overcast days to sunny days. However, there wasn't a cloud in the sky, and I didn't expect that to change anytime soon. I hoped it would rain, and my positive thinking philosophy urged me to keep hoping for that. Still, as I walked through the palm tree forest, there was an unusual peace in the place. It was silent. No noise. Not even birds were chirping. No people, no technology. Nothing but nature. It was beautiful. It really was. Tall ghosts of palm trees stretched to the cloudless sky. Brown grass surrounded the base of the palm trees. Boulders were scattered around randomly. Despite the absence of life in the place, it was a perfect getaway. I wonder if I have it to myself. Don't get your hopes up, I told myself. Shut up. I don't want any more negativity. I'm just being realistic. Well, maybe I don't want to be realistic. Anyway, there's no reason to say that is realistic. I had inner debates with myself all the time. They were normally just as pitiful sounding as this one. While I was enjoying the peace, still walking west, I heard running water. I was overjoyed. It was coming from ahead of me, probably behind those boulders up there. I ran to the rocks, and to my surprise, I was correct. I walked down the boulder, which was actually just a flat rock that sloped down into the standing pool of water. The pool was fed from the north by a stream, and it left the pool to the south by another stream. It's the perfect spot. If I had to camp here, wherever here is, I'd choose this site. I waded into the crystal clear water and it came up to my hips. It felt amazing compared to the heat of the sun. It was refreshing and cool, and for a few minutes I forgot about the lack of shade afforded by the dead palm trees. I waded out and lay down to dry on one of the flat rocks that sloped into the pool. The rock was warm, and I immediately understood how snakes feel. This is the life. I lay there for several minutes. I finally sat up and freaked out for the first time in this story. 3 duffel bags, towels, and junk food wrappers were scattered around the palm trees 10 steps west of my location. Other people. I didn't know what to do. Should I stay? Should I run? I didn't know. I decided on neither. I stood up as water dripped off my clothes and splattered into the dust on the ground, and I walked west again, continuing my venture toward the mountain. As I passed the stuff that was scattered on the ground, I found where the unopened junk food was stored. I grabbed a bag of Cheez-Its and a chocolate bar and continued heading toward the mountain. I ate the chocolate bar as I walked, but stuffed the crackers into my pocket. I hope they don't get totally crushed in there. I finished the chocolate and stuffed the empty wrapper in my pocket. I don't want to give away my presents. Just then I heard voices moving toward me. I couldn't make out words, but I knew they were getting closer. A boulder was sitting a few paces away, so I decided to hide behind it. I'll wait for them to pass, and then I'll continue on my way. I made it behind the boulder just in time. The rock was not flat, but rather very bulky and covered in little holes like a sponge. "That was crazy, homie," said a male voice. "The fire was huge. I don't know how we made it safely down to here. It looked like it was about to explode, but it didn't. That was sick, homie. I'm so happy to be alive." It sounded like the voice's owner had stopped walking. I warily poked my head around the side of the rock, hoping that no one would see me. The voice's owner was 4 paces away from me, standing next to another guy who was about the same height. They both looked about 18 years old. They were both white, and they were both smoking cigarettes. Both had on plain white baggy t-shirts. The difference between the two came in clothing and hairstyles. One had a blonde buzz cut, and the other wore a gray, flat-brimmed baseball cap straight forward over his shaggy black hair. The black-haired one wore green basketball shorts, and the blonde one wore long, sagging blue jeans. Both were muscular, not ripped, but they both clearly worked out a little every day or so, or were just gifted with a decent body type. I ducked back behind the boulder to consider my own appearance. I looked down to see a scrawny guy with no muscle. From wrist to shoulder, my arms were just about the same circumference the whole way. I was wearing a white baseball cap that said Angels on it. My jean shorts cut off above my knees at that moment because my knees were bent as I sat behind the boulder. On my torso was a blue polo shirt. "I guess I overdressed," I joked in my mind. I poked my head back over the rock, hoping that I would remain invisible. "I'm happy to be alive too, Joey," the black-haired kid said. "So the blonde kid is Joey. That's cool. Is he friend or foe?" The black-haired kid turned toward my hiding spot, so I ducked back behind the rock again. "Please don't hurt me." "Come on, Joey," he said. "Follow me. We've barely explored this island." A pause. "Joey, what you staring at?" There's, he began. "There's something behind that rock." I'm done for. I stayed hidden behind the rock. "Please don't walk over here." Joey was still talking. "Kevin, it might jump out and scare me. I hate getting scared. You know how I am when that happens. Don't you remember when I told you about that time we were at Jay's house and his mom scared me?" So the black-haired kid is Kevin? Is he friendly? I remember, Kevin said. I see nothing though, bro. You need to control your fears. I've never known an almost 19-year-old to be as big a scaredy cat as you. Shut up, homie. I ain't scared. Don't lie, bro. He paused. Now get moving. We need to get back to Justin before it's dark. I ain't lying. The footsteps started up again, heading east, away from my location. My mind started spinning. Who are they? I'm trapped on an island? What was on fire? Who's Justin? Who's Jay? What's going on? The thoughts crashed through my mind like a pinball in a machine. I want answers, but I don't want to die. My heartbeat had accelerated like a drag racer during their conversation, and it was just beginning to slow down. Half of me wanted to talk to Joey and Kevin, but another half told me I could survive on my own. I took off my hat and used it to fan my sweating face. No matter what I chose, I decided I needed to get moving again. Who are they? If I'm truly on an island like they said, I have no need to go to the mountain, I figured. Follow them, my mind told me. Shut up, I shouted at myself. I am not ready to die, and there was no way to know for sure if they are friend or foe. Weren't you listening? Joey's scared of getting scared. He won't touch you. I had to admit that was a good point. But it can't possibly be that simple. What if it's an act? His speaking habits could be a ploy as well. Maybe they just want me to follow them so they can kill me. You're absolutely ridiculous. Don't be scared. Be a man and get answers. I'm convinced. I was nervous, but I stood up, repositioned my hat backwards on my head, and set out east anyway, forsaking my investigation of the mountain to pursue Joey and Kevin. I started jogging. It didn't take long for me to catch up to them. They had been slowly ambling away from my hiding spot, smoking and laughing up a storm. The 2 minutes it took me to reach them had been filled with questions, ones I wanted answered and ones I didn't. Can they answer my questions? Are they going to kill me? Who else is here? They must have heard me following them, because they turned around. When they saw me, their reaction took me completely by surprise. Joey, the blonde, spoke first. Jay, how's it going, homie? I'm Jay? I was shocked. These guys were at my house one time? I put my hands on my backside to slide my fingers into my back pockets, but the feeling of mud coming off on my fingers surprised and grossed me out at the same time, so I changed my mind about the placement of my hands. It's from wading in the pool and hiding from those two by sitting in the dirt. Before I could respond to Joey, Kevin, the one with the gray cap, greeted me too. What you been up to recently, Jay? Who are you two? I was finally able to spit out. They act like they know me, but I have no idea why. I've never seen them in my life, have I? It's Joey and Kevin, your friends from church, Kevin said. Joey continued Kevin's thought. Yeah, Jay, are you losing it? We've hung out almost every day since kindergarten. We spent the night at each other's houses, ding-dong ditched, went to birthday parties, and have grown up at church together, too. Did you hit your head or something? He lifted his shirt to wipe the sweat off his face. It sounds familiar, but I don't know. He could be trying to trick me. All I want is answers. Sure, Joey just gave me some, but I'm not positive that it is true. I finally stopped thinking and decided to speak. You tell me if I hit my head. You said something was on fire. Maybe I hit it then. It's possible. You clearly ain't feeling so good after the crash. Joey's face looked concerned as he took a drag on his cigarette. Crash? I yelled. What crash? We were on an airplane. It crashed just offshore this island. It was the freakiest thing ever. Flames all around us. I thought we were going to die. Joey grabbed me by the shoulders and shook me. Homie, I'm so dang happy to be alive. Me too, I replied. I gave Joey a look that told him to get his hands off me. Other than supposedly being my best friend, who does this guy think he is? Joey slid his hands into his pockets, a sheepish grin covering his face. Where'd the plane go down? I asked. Maybe, if I see it, some of my memory will return. So many pieces are flying through my head. All I want is for them to fit together into one complete puzzle. It was over there, said Kevin, pointing east with his right hand. Why you ask? I explained my hypothesis about my memory returning. Joey vetoed it. You don't want to do that, homie. Some annoying little punk named Jared declared himself king of this place. Kevin and me got kicked out for disagreeing with him. Yeah, he's some rich kid. Thinks life owes him everything he wants. Kevin's facial expression showed disgust. I need answers. Maybe this Jared guy can help. Kevin continued. I can't stand the guy. Joey interjected. His girlfriend hot as hell though. I'd tap that. Kevin started. I cut him off. I need answers. I'm gonna go find out some stuff. Don't stop me. What you need answered? Joey asked. For one, what's my name? Joey answered very matter of fact. J. Matthew Liyfer. He clarified the pronunciation before continuing. Life, with an R on the end. Liyfer. Then he continued. Born February 2nd, 1992. Age 18. You live in Desert Valley, California, right up the street from me. He paused as his slurring, sloppy speech resumed. You need your social security number too? He paused again. I don't have it. He laughed as he took out a new cigarette and lit it. So I'm Jay and I'm 18? Good to know. Do I have a girlfriend? I asked. Joey looked at Kevin, shrugged, looked back at me, and said, Yeah, her name is Kimmy or something. He pulled up on his pants to keep them from sagging off. Oh, thanks, I said, as I felt a smile spread across my face. I started walking away. Good luck with Jared, Kevin called. If you need a place, we got a camp set up in the middle of the island. Thanks. I'll think about it. I ran off east, leaving them behind. The last thing I overheard was them arguing over the Jared guy's girlfriend. Those two are hilarious, and they seem real enough. I just hope they are who they say they are. But I really have no clue. So I have a girlfriend? I thought, as my mind changed topics. Life isn't so bad after all. I hope she's stuck on this island too. If not, this place will suck. I kept walking, wondering about Jared and my girlfriend. Who are they? What are they like? Did Joey and Kevin blow Jared way out of proportion, or is he really like that? The thought made me nervous. Cammy. What does she look like? Is that actually her name? Joey can be hard to understand, I reasoned. Either way, I can't wait to find her and tell her that I'm okay. As I kept walking, I noticed that the sun was gone and the shadows were growing on the ground. I also began to notice how tired I was, and I wondered how long it had been since I slept before ending up unconscious in the middle of the island. How'd that even happen? I forced myself onward. I need answers. After 20 minutes of stumbling through the dead forest, tripping over burnt-out roots and scattered rocks, I realized I would hurt myself if I kept going in the dark. The sun was gone, and shadows covered everything. Don't stop, a voice in my head said. Don't you want answers? I do, I countered, but I'm tired, and I don't want to hurt myself. Safety first, remember? I stopped where I stood at that moment, lay down, and closed my eyes for the night.